What if you had the chance to live again? 22 years ago, I was given the opportunity, and it changed the way that I live my life. It changed my relationship with God, and it changed the way I relate to my family. I was pregnant with my firstborn son, and physically the pregnancy was going great, but emotionally it was not. We found out at the 20-week ultrasound that he had a condition that would not allow him to survive after birth. I was full of joy knowing I had a new life inside of me, but I was so full of heartache knowing about the prognosis. And then 10 weeks too early, my water broke, and suddenly I was thrust into a labor that was very scary to me. I didn't feel prepared, and also knowing of the prognosis, I was afraid to lose my son. I had a very long and difficult labor that ended in an amniotic embolism, where the amniotic fluid gets inside of your blood and all your blood clots. My blood, instead of clotting in my heart and lungs, which normally what happens, clotted in my skin. So I had bruises all over my arms and my back, and a cut at my throat. They knew this happened because I stopped breathing, and they had to resuscitate me. But thankfully, I lived, even though I had to have all of those platelets replaced and a lot of different complications. I remember being wheeled out of the hospital, heartbroken because I had no baby in my arm, and also with a very, very broken body. Then I entered into a 2-year time of waiting and healing, and now I see that time as a gift because I learned how to hear the voice of God speak into my darkness. I learned that I really wanted to be a mother, and that I just wanted to know how to best steward the lives of my children. I also learned that God was giving me the gift of tenacity, to not be settled for the good, but to always look for the best. And so when God did put that baby in my arms 2 years later, when I encountered parenting problems like time schedules and sleepless nights and conflict and educational problems, I was able to not settle for the good or not settle for being stuck, but to have the tenacity to look for what's best, to ask God to share His wisdom and to speak into each one of those areas. I remember when we were on vacation in Maine and we wanted to get up and watch the sunrise. It was a big sacrifice because we had to get up in what seemed like the middle of the night. But we got up and we drove up the mountain, and we were able to watch the sun rise over the mountains and over the oceans, and it was an amazing moment. And that's what I want for myself and for you as a parent, to have those sunrise moments. And you can do it. You don't have to settle for the good. You can see the sun rise in every one of your days.